Ecotourism began in the environmental movement of the late 1970s. However, as a practice travel concept did not become established until the late 1980s. During that time, increasing environmental awareness and the desire to travel to natural locations as opposed to built-up locations made ecotourism a more desirable form of travel. Ecotourism and its viability has been debated from its very creation. The issues surrounding the debate stem from three major areas, those being the community standpoint, its economic value, and environmental factors. In this documentary, I explore these principles of ecological sustainable development and discuss the negative and positive aspects based on the research I have conducted. Ecotourism has managed to become one of the leading areas for conservation and assist in community improvement in many developing countries. This stems from its potential to provide the local economy with benefits while ensuring the integrity of the environment remains intact through the use of local, non-consumptive, low-impact resources. This, however, may prove to be ecotourism's end, as most successful ecotourist establishments draw in high numbers of tourists annually, thus creating more habitat disturbances, forest degradation, and cultural loss. On your screen now, we can easily see some of the disadvantages and advantages associated with the triple bottom line. As you can see, the disadvantages seem to outweigh the advantages. I will elaborate more on these later on in the documentary. In the article, Is Ecotourism Harming Whales and Dolphins? Animal Spotting Tours Are Stressing Marine Mammals by the Daily Mail, where my journey into ecotourism began, explores the negative correlations between ecotourism boating adventures and the impacts on the ocean and its inhabitants. However, the information presented in this article has a lack of credibility due to the author having no expertise in the field, and the author constantly referring to information from experts, conservationists, and scientists, but neglects to state who they are, bar from Dr. Lazus, where the author used an inappropriate appeal to authority to get a point across. In light of these flaws, the author also directly plagiarizes several paragraphs from an article in Nature International Weekly Journal and neglects to reference them. Good afternoon and thank you for your time today. How does your organisation help the community?
We have a strong connection to the community as they are a crucial component of our establishment. We employ many of the locals, and through park entry and accommodation fees, we are able to fund projects that benefit the community, like schools and clean drinking water. We integrate the native cultures, traditional food, dance and clothing into the tourist visits to showcase the community as well.
What is your environmental conservation objective and how do you conserve the natural resources?
Our main objective is to protect the environment by means of placing economic value on it, which assists in ceasing deforestation and land clearing for farming. We also wish to educate the local populations and the people who visit our establishment on the principles of sustainable management, and hopefully then they pass our message, spreading our cause.
What steps have you implemented to minimise your environmental footprint?
At our establishment, we have adopted numerous measures to ensure we minimise the damage to the environment by being responsible for our waste from cradle to grave. We also purchase our goods from manufacturers who have adopted this approach. We also recycle where we can.
And finally, do you personally believe ecotourism to be sustainable?
I personally believe ecotourism is a sustainable cause. There are far worse tourism ventures out there that do not think about the environment nor the community and just take without thinking about the consequences to the environment. The traditional landowners and our future generations who may never get a chance to see an elephant or a tiger if things aren't implemented to combat unsustainability.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your time this afternoon. How has ecotourism affected you and your community?
We are highly dependent on tourism to survive. It is our livelihood without these tourists. I would not be able to feed my family. However, I work at the markets where the tourists buy my material. I had a cousin who owned a hotel and he had to shut down as no one was visiting. He ended up getting involved with some shady people to try and get some money and is now in jail. His family is currently living with me.
In Cuzco, Peru, tourism has been declining up to 80%, resulting in closure of hotels and loss of revenue.
I see kids every day trying to get this McDonald's stuff. I hate seeing our traditional food and culture being replaced with this westernized mentality. Our culture makes us special and who we are.
Ecotourism may have a secondary effect on the homogenisation of local communities and over-commercialise indigenous cultures, causing the decline of the native cultures and languages. In other places, the cultures have begun to westernise, resulting in them losing their cultural identity.
Do you think the environment is benefiting from ecotourism?
I don't. They start off caring and then don't bother after the hype has faded. And also lots and lots of tourists visit that place and leave rubbish and waste everywhere.
Thank you.
The ever-increasing number of tourists coming to these
Facilities directly and indirectly affects the environment and also the local community. Regardless of the location, anybody who promotes ecotourism have similar offerings worldwide and are expected to follow the guidelines set forth. One eco-lodge, Signida La Bomba in Kruger National Park, South Africa, uses as natural resources to build the lodges. They use compacted earth for the walls and timber sourced from already established plantations to minimise their environmental footprint and harmlessly integrate their architecture into the environment. They also employ local community members who run tours to the local villages, educating the tourists while also enabling the protection of their local culture. Australia has been leading the way when it comes to ecotourism and its principles and initiatives, making Australia one of the best in the world. In saying that, Australia is believed to give the tourist little education on environmental and sustainable practices and mainly hires offshore employees who do not possess the local knowledge. The sources used in this documentary are credible, as they were all peer-reviewed articles and they explored both sides of the argument in detail and allowed the reader to come to a logical conclusion. Ecotourism is a developing industry with many new initiatives being developed constantly to improve its sustainability. However, it is a balancing act between the people, the place, and the profit. All of these aspects must be in perfect harmony for the future sustainability to be viable. From the research I've conducted in this documentary and the report, I've established that ecotourism currently focuses predominantly on the profit and the environment. Although both important, the community needs to be focused equally. From my research and the current flaws, I still believe ecotourism to be sustainable.